What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Acceptable Accuracy Podcast. This is Tyler.
And I am 3D printed Philip.
Yeah, 3D printed Phil, who doesn't know how to use his mic.
It's working now. I blame all the electronics I have in my room. I literally been 3D printing like cases for all these electronics on this work thing I've got coming up. So that's not what we're here to talk about. Would you like to kick things off then, Tyler? You're in charge. Okay. Stepping back real quick, Tyler is in charge of this entire podcast today.
I don't know what you're talking about. I am perfectly fine riding shotgun. You can take the driver's seat all you want, brother. I'm totally kidding. But no, so because with the nature of today's episode, we have a bunch of returning guests today. We have Brent, Daryl, and Kyle. Would you guys all like to say hi?
Hi.
Hello.
Okay,
it's like the awkward hi everybody.
Well, it's because I'm coughing my head off right now.
I'm legitimately impressed that you guys said hello in like sequential order. It almost sounded like an a cappella chorus, like hi, hi, hi.
Yeah. So you saying I have the highest
awful
voice of the group, Phil?
I mean, if the shoe fits.
Oh my goodness. So with the reason why we have so many guests on today's episode is because we're going to be going over a recent competition that everyone participated in but me.
Except for
except for me, because for some reason I have been in and out of town all summer and I was on vacation, and also unfortunately with the nature of this competition, it's typically on Sundays, and with my line of work, I can't do Sundays unless I'm actually on vacation. So what had happened was the guys competed in a 3-gun competition at our local club. So we'll just go ahead and kind of get started with it. So I guess for those who don't know what a 3-gun competition is, Brent, could you explain what a 3-gun competition is?
Oh, that's great. You use 3 guns and you shoot.
Perfect.
Competitively.
Podcast over. We are done. This is our record. 2 minutes and 20-something seconds.
Sorry, man.
You attempt to be competitive.
You attempt to be competitive. I attempted to be competitive. It's basically pistol, rifle, or a carbine, and a shotgun in this instance. What Tyler probably doesn't know is that Hagen, our match director for 3-gun, he changed it around a little bit, so you didn't have to use your shotgun if you didn't want to. He set it
really?
up. It was pretty cool. Most people did, a combination of the 2 or of the 3 and mixed them around, but it was really good. We had a blast, and of course, you know me, I always want to hang out with these guys, so I don't care how well I shoot as long as I'm with those guys. So who cares?
Yeah, I don't want to tell you missed a lot of fun, Tyler, but you missed a lot of fun.
I know. Phil was telling me. Phil mentioned to me a couple days ago that he said that this was one of his favorite competitions in a long time. So I'm like, okay, well that's good. I'm like, I appreciate you kind of rubbing it in a little bit. So I guess so. What made it so fun? I guess now that I've heard a little bit about it from Phil. So Daryl, why was this so much fun? Tell me about it.
I think a lot of it was something different. I've been focusing so much on USPSA and not getting too far with it that, going into this 3-gun match, we looked at it more as training for the zombie than any type of a competition. Although it was great training, but it was just a lot of fun because there was no preconceived notions about how I was going to do.
Yeah.
You did good though, dude.
I did, but there was it didn't really matter if I did or not, which is probably why I did. But
that's fair. Mm-hmm.
So the other side of it is the mag issue that we still haven't figured out. But...
Oh, jeez. I figured mine out.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Good.
Well, what was up with your mag issue, Brent?
I refuse to say or tell you.
Fair enough.
Was it a user problem?
It was a user assembly problem.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
All good, man.
Yep, Kyle's going to make fun of me. All you guys are going to make fun of me, but I know better. My my slide stop spring is supposed to be under the, I guess it would be the trigger pin, the main trigger pin, and I had it on the excuse me, on the other one. It just didn't work well, and now it works great. So there you go, people. Put your guns together right.
Yeah,
Springs
that does
usually
help.
require tension to work properly.
May I ask how long this was in this configuration?
Just for this match.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. I was thinking like years or something like
No,
that.
no. I'd taken that. I'd cleaned that gun before the weekend, and like I'm saying, I just was just stupid and going real fast and didn't check that. And of course, the first time I shot it was at the match. So la-di-da-di-da.
There you go. That's awesome, man.
Yep.
So,
And I took it. I'm sorry, I took it apart to put that Overwatch trigger in there. By the way, Kyle. So.
Yeah, you're not overly impressed with that, if
I am
remember.
not overly impressed, but it is growing on me. So, well, let's that's for another podcast.
Like a fungus.
Yes.
So
Gangrene.
going back to 3-gun, have you guys competed in a 3-gun competition before?
That's
I
Yes.
have quite extensively. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
This was my first 3-gun match where I had all 3 guns at potentially well, I guess for all the stages, right? Like
Were
I
you
had
like
done
Rambo and you just had like your pistol in one
I
hand,
did.
your
So
AR in
yes,
another,
and
and you
then
just had your shotgun
shotgun in the mouth. Yep.
in your mouth. It was like a
You
Mossberg.
don't
Which
run
end?
with all
Which
3
end?
firearms at the same time.
But that's what I want to imagine, Daryl. That's what I think of a 3-gun, man.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, the
With the
club
red
doesn't allow
bandana
that.
and like a grenade somewhere. Oh, come on. Yeah.
Actually, 3-gun, if I remember correctly, 3-gun is what brought Brent and I to South Kent.
That is correct.
Really?
That's actually really hilarious because
That is the
I actually had the intention of shooting all these other sports in order to shoot 3-gun, like to figure out like how to shoot rifle, how to shoot pistol, and then eventually make my way to 3-gun.
That's what brought me to South Kent as well.
Is it really?
Interesting.
Yep.
Wow.
I looked for places when I moved here in December of 2020. I was looking for a club to shoot 3-gun at, and South Kent was the only one within a reasonable driving distance.
I do have to tell a story about our very first 3-gun at South Kent with my buddy Daryl. His truck or car wasn't working. We got to drive his wife's really cute little CRV that has all kinds of Democratic stickers on it, like women for Obama. I am not lying one bit. Am I lying, Daryl?
I don't remember the specific match, but yes, we have had her car down there with those bumper stickers on it.
Wow.
The only lie is that you think it's Daryl's wife's car when we all know it's really Daryl's car.
Exactly. Yeah, it's totally Daryl's car.
The truck is actually Daryl's car.
I know we're rabbit trailing and trying to keep this short, but I'll tell you what, we didn't figure it out until we got all our guns unloaded and we're putting stuff together. And he goes, "Do you see a bumper sticker on that thing?"
If you ever got pulled over by it, that'd be one confused cop. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yes, it would.
Great urban camouflage.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh man. So Phil, with this being your first 3-gun, what was that like? Like, what was that like leading up to the competition itself?
Yeah, so similar to what Daryl was saying, this match was literally just for funsies, into like practice for the Zombie Invitational, which is a 3-gun match, but it is a 3-gun match in the format of it is carbine pistol the first day, shotgun pistol the second day. So where this is a more traditional 3-gun match where you could, and we did shoot all three guns in one single stage, right? Or you break it up where you have a shotgun on stage with a pistol or rifle, shotgun, whatever. So it was definitely different, and it was a lot of fun. I was not feeling great from the day before, but I tell you, by the end of the day, I felt a lot better, just from getting out and shooting these guys and whatnot. But it was a lot of fun, and it's like Daryl was saying earlier, it's totally different than what we're used to, right? Because Brent and Daryl put on a fantastic USPSA match at South Kent Sportsman's Club. But it's nice to switch things up and do things different. And the way that they handled scoring versus USPSA was also something that made you think a little bit. And I'll just dip into that real quick, just so that the viewers understand what we're talking about. in USPSA, I said viewers. We definitely don't have viewers yet. Definitely listeners. Anyway,
that we are
I
transitioning
digress.
to
We're
videos
transitioning.
eventually.
Yeah.
But
So
we've been talking about
anyway,
it for like the past 3 weeks.
I
But
know.
hey, we'll do it.
It's like the metric system coming to the US. It'll eventually be here.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Body.
we were with USPSA, you have to shoot 2 shots on target to fully quote unquote neutralize the target or get your full score. If you
Okay.
only shoot 1 shot at the target in USPSA, you still get credit for like if as long as you shoot both shots at the target, you still get credit for shooting at the target, but you get a miss or a mic as we call them. Where as 3-gun, with the rules that we use, it's an outlaw 3-gun. If you shoot 1 shot of any caliber into the A zone or the entire head box, then the target is considered neutralized and you can move on.
Okay.
So then you're presented with especially on open targets, you're like, if I'm moving, I can slow down slightly to get the A zone shot, take 1 shot and then move on, or do I take 2 shots at the target?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of the mental decision that has to be made when running the stage. And then there are stages where they'll hide the A zone, that kind of stuff. Anyway, so that even having a different scoring system than we're used to made it a lot more fun as well too, because it made you think differently than a USPSA or IDPA match.
Okay. So speaking of USPSA and IDPA, like what's the difference between your preparation for a 3-gun match versus like a USPSA or an IDPA match?
Well, it's
You gotta
fairly.
get
It's honestly, it's fairly similar, but being comfortable manipulating 3 guns instead of typically 1 gun,
Mm-hmm.
and configuring a belt setup that will accommodate all 3 of those as well, and being, having that muscle memory, just like your magazine change from your, primary magazine in IDPA or USPSA,
Mm-hmm.
having that for your pistol, rifle, and reloading shotgun shells, which is never fun.
Yeah, no kidding.
Unless you
So,
have a new shotgun that has a
Yes,
magazine.
that's correct.
hey,
Unless you try to rifleize your shotgun.
Yep.
yeah, no kidding. So for me, never doing a 3-gun competition. Are your guns like staged in different areas? Do you have it slung on you? Like, how does that all set up? Do you shoot all 3 like guns in one stage, or
Sometimes.
okay?
So
not very
typically,
often. Sometimes.
yeah. So in a kind of a at South Kent, it's kind of 3-gun adjacent.
Okay.
Hagen puts on a really good match. It's not, if anybody listening has experience with 3-gun, it's not your traditional like 3-gun nation or USPSA multi-gun matches. Typically, you'll start with either rifle or shotgun,
Okay.
and then loaded and holstered pistol, and then occasionally you will have another gun loaded or empty staged somewhere on the field to pick up and then engage targets with. And as you utilize firearms, when you're finished shooting that firearm, you will usually put that in a barrel, muzzle
Okay.
down, safety on. Otherwise, that is a match DQ to
Hmm.
to discard a loaded hot gun. So
Okay.
yeah, but you will shoot all 3 guns typically in some kind of fashion depending on the stage design and your stage plan.
Hmm. And then, what do you mean by your stage plan? Can you walk me through that?
Yeah, so just like any other shooting sport, if with the exception of IDPA is a little more strict about shooting order and things like that, but
Hmm.
there's a lot of different ways to attack the targets on a stage and maneuver through that. So just kind of a basic example. Say you have four steel targets and 3 paper targets up close, and then have 4 paper targets out far, and your steel targets are shotgun targets, your close paper is pistol, and your long targets are rifle. You can choose how to engage those with your firearms. If you're very rifle confident You could engage those targets last because that's when you're going to be the most tired in that stage, so that you can really buckle down and get those shots. So you could stage that rifle forward, start with your shotgun or your pistol, and then barrel those guns and then move forward for the rifle. Or if you're more pistol strong, like a lot of the guys here were more prominent USPSA shooters, you could finish on those paper targets with your pistol, so that both your long guns are barreled at the start. So it really just depends on how the stage design is and how you can play that play your strengths in that stage.
That's really cool. Actually, that does sound really intriguing. Once again, I'm like, man, I'll do it. I'll do a 3-gun eventually, one of these days. So
Next month.
Yeah, we're doing it again in September.
Yes, sir.
I'm working.
Sounds like a personal problem.
Somebody
You just say that's a personal thing?
Maybe.
How does your church do with a bomb threat? Will you get the day off?
Oh gosh.
Oh my goodness.
That is a joke.
What if the computer
Outbreak
systems
of
are
the plague.
down? Yeah.
Computer
You want to see?
systems.
You want to see if Hagen will switch days with us, Brent?
Oh, jeez.
That was the other thing that was interesting about this match, because it does fall on a Sunday, which does make it more difficult for shooters to make, because people do go to church on Sunday, or family, or whatever it may be. But Hagen, who's the match director of this match, does it on that day because then he's able to build off of the USPSA stages, so he's not reinventing the wheel, right? And that's actually one of the symbiotic relationships with South Kent Sportsman's Club. Is IDPA will set up stages, and then USPSA may or may not recycle some of those stages into USPSA, which then again get recycled into 3-gun stages. South Kent Sportsman's Club, we do have ranges that are able to go longer range, but those are not unavailable to 3-gun competition or USPSA competition. So it does allow for that use of the closer in USPSA stages. One thing also I found that was really interesting and unique about this type of match is the size of the target, the zone that you have to shoot at for some of these is really tiny. So you have to know. Yeah,
jeez.
Laughing, and I'll let them dig into it here in a second. But they're really small because we can't get a lot of distance as it is today. There's one bay that we get like maybe 70 yards on, like if you're shooting across it. But Hagen makes up for that by having these tiny little sections of like no shoot that are cut out, that you have to shoot in this tiny little hole, so you have to kind of know your offsets fairly well, especially with your rifle when you're shooting. So that introduced another whole challenge too, where again, like I said earlier, you're making the decision whether or not you're going to take 1 shot or 2 shots at the target. So that does determine typically how fast or how slow you're going to go on it. But then when you have to slow down for a brief second to then take that shot at that tiny little target with your rifle, again, you're slowing down, and then you may speed up with an open target right after that, for example. So it's an interesting mix and dynamic of shooting things. The other thing I noticed, and Tyler and I talked a little bit about this tonight as well too, because we were shooting shotguns tonight. When you transition from shooting a shotgun, and it's not quite as bad when you're just shooting like birdshot, but when you go from a shotgun to a rifle, the anticipated recoil is different, and you're trying to you're mentally trying to figure that out, and trying not to flinch, of course, the whole time. But it also, like, the recoil is definitely felt as different, and the setup is slightly different. Now, if you're using a traditional shotgun that doesn't have a pistol grip, then I think maybe your brain functions a little bit easier between the two. I don't know. I've not shot all 3 at the same time before, but I definitely remember like shouldering the shotgun, shooting it, and then thinking like, okay, that's one thing, and then switching over to rifle and remembering this is not a shotgun. I'm not shooting a spread. I'm shooting a precision shot. So mentally, it's very like your brain is always thinking about what you're doing. And I think Hagen did a pretty good job of laying out the stages where they were complex enough to be interesting, but not overly complex for a new 3-gun shooter to be able to step into the match and be lost. So as long as you've shot USPSA before, it's going to be mostly linear stages moving forward, but still very interesting stages. Because when I say linear, I mean, it's like you go in order of cleaning the rifle targets, right? They're like pretty left to right, maybe with a few maneuvers here and there, and then you may pick up the shotgun and then clear right to left, for example, or may go back left to right. There's not like trying to memorize. the stages like Daryl and Brent love to make us do in USPSA.
We only got one gun. We got to make it count.
That's fair. That's fair.
How many stages were at this match?
5.
5.
Okay.
That's correct.
5.
How long did that take?
Not long enough.
Yeah. We were out of there. What? We were done at 1:00. Thereabouts. 1-2 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, and then tear down after that. So
Yeah,
Just around that.
we were done tearing down by 3,
Gotcha.
Mhm.
but I don't
We'll
remember
start
exactly.
time like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock.
9
it's a
o'clock.
little later.
9 o'clock. Okay.
There was a bit of a delay just because of the rules. A lot of rules to go over and a lot of new people.
Oh,
So
yeah, that
yeah.
makes sense. How many people were at the match, do you guys think?
17,
15.
18, 15.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot smaller than the USPSA, and
Yep.
a big part of 3-gun and why you definitely don't see it at clubs at the local level nearly as much as like IDPA and USPSA is because the barrier of entry. You know, one, you just obviously you have to have 3 guns that are
Yeah.
capable of making it through a match, and 2, you need the support systems to go along with that. Just like USPSA, you need a belt and pistol holster and pistol mag pouches. You also need rifle mags and rifle mag pouches, and then shotgun and a way to carry shotgun shells. And it can add up pretty quickly especially for a new shooter, somebody that's just getting started and stuff. You don't usually see those people jumping into 3-gun.
I think that's one of the nice things with Hagen going to more of a multi-gun format. You're going to draw in those people who have an AR and a pistol, and typically the means to carry it. Because in the practical shooting competition area, obviously we have all our race rigs. Typically they're set up, and those are unique. Now you can show up with more of a quote unquote tactical belt set up for a USPSA, and especially now with the leg strap rule change, and shoot just fine. But a lot of people that aren't necessarily competition focused do tend to, because we're Americans, we love our tactical stuff, so they tend to have like a belt with pouches and stuff like that can translate over to a 2-gun instead of a 3-gun, because you're not having to deal with shotgun caddies and that kind of stuff.
You can absolutely be competitive in the USPSA with a tactical belt.
Sure. Yes. Yep.
Well, yeah, because I saw that in the group chat, Kyle. You were talking about what was it like? Because for some reason it wasn't a debate; it was more like a discussion in our group chat. How Paul brought up how what was it like? Someone was trying to debate with them. It's like, yeah, I can. All I gotta do is just get really expensive gear, and I'll be competitive.
Yeah. So Paul, who's been on this podcast
Oh yeah,
previously, and we shoot with pretty regularly when he's not succumbed to the state government's whims.
yeah, no kidding.
Of being employed, not incarcerated.
Yes, thanks for clarifying that.
Oh gosh, I didn't even go that direction, but as soon as you said it, I was like, no, that checks out.
Yeah. We could all see Paul in orange jumpsuit, but
he's Vietcong. What do you expect?
Yeah.
Oh man.
But he's brought a new shooter into competition shooting, and the guy is in the the very early stages and is definitely convinced that just the next gadget that he buys will put him into the top 10 category, and needs to get the fundamentals down before he buys another spring or another
for sure
trigger or slide release or magazine.
I heard if you buy
or something.
a Staccato, you immediately get into a.
Well, I mean, it kind of played out for Paul with his brand new Stealth Arms Platypus.
Yeah,
he had to make sure he told me after the match that he finally beat me in the overall standings, and I had to politely remind him it only took him $3,000 to do
it. That thing's $3,000.
Well, the gun itself is about $2,000, but then he had to spend about another $1,000 to get it competition ready. So
yeah, you get the setup for the race holster, and then I know like he's got Glock, like it takes Glock mags, right? But there is something to be said about getting like an MBX mag, which he doesn't have yet. Which he's
Glock mag
going to
recently.
Probably.
I've broken Glock mags.
I know, but it's just funny. It's like, yeah, but
Yeah, I also was shooting my my 3-gun / zombie pistol, which is not a race gun at all. It's a bone stock Glock 17. It does have a mag well on the bottom of it, but
okay,
that was not the limitations of my performances on a
gotcha.
Saturday.
So speaking of that, what is your guys' setup for the 3-gun competition?
So I run a rifle that I built going on about 8 years ago now.
Okay.
It's a Franken gun using a Faxon gunner barrel when those first came out. Midwest Industries lightweight handguard, and then a Aero Precision up and lower.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have a Timney 3-pound single stage trigger in it.
Nice.
With a I run a Strike Eagle, one of the Gen 1s from
Yep.
Vortex on it,
Was that
1
like
to
a 1
8.
to 8? Yeah.
It's a good tactical scope. However, it's not great for 3-gun with its very large dot aperture system that they run in it. So I will be in the market for a new scope. So any sales reps listening to this podcast,
Please
Yes.
sponsor us.
I know, right? Sponsor us, man.
Thank you,
sponsor
Brent.
us, and I will run your gear and take pictures of it.
Mm-hmm. And then, so
Then I
you
run.
just have LPVO on that, no like offset red dot or anything like
No,
that.
it's in traditional 3-gun, the accuracy standard is let's say generous. So most of the time, for close enough targets, I'm able to sight down the about the 2 o'clock on the handguard of the rifle and get my 2 hits anywhere on paper.
Gotcha.
For more accurate fires, like here at South Kent and in like PCSL, offset red dot or offset iron sights would probably be recommended, rather than just using your rifle in a similar manner as a shotgun. And then I run a Remington 1187 Police Magnum that's been tuned for light loads and 3-gun with a 10-round extension.
Okay.
And a Burris Fastfire 3 for the red dot on top, and then just a bone stock Glock 17 MOS with a
Nice.
Zev magwell on it.
Nice. What about you, Phil?
So I run like my traditional pistol that I run for USPSA and
Mhm.
everything else, which is a Smith & Wesson competitor. Kyle is a huge fan of Smith & Wesson.
Oh,
So,
massive.
he's actually the guy that sold it to me. So,
Yeah.
Yep. And anyway, so I run that with a Hollow Sun with the ACSS Vulcan on it.
Cheater.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
I'm
gotta do what you
kidding.
gotta do.
I have
But
the exact same
it,
dot.
it does help with my astigmatism quite a bit.
Mhm.
But it's a like a Chevron with a huge anyway. So I run that for pistol, and then for AR is the same one I use for most for competition, which is a Aero Precision lower mated with a primary weapon systems piston driven 11.85
That's so
weird
random,
length.
man.
I know it's
That's
because
such a weird length.
it's something to do with suppressors and their handguard length and all that stuff. Anyway,
Did you run
so
your suppressor?
I did not. So I have that, and then run a Trigicon LPVO 1 to 6 LPVO on it. That works pretty good. It's pretty bright, and it's got a daylight bright red dot on it that works fine. And I've got that on a worn high mount. Actually, advice from Kyle of all people. I shouldn't say that. That sounds weird. Like you didn't know what you're talking about. Like because
you hear that, Kyle? Of all people.
okay, you have to understand that Kyle has built thousands of ARs and has shot many competitions. So anytime I usually have a question, I usually ask Kyle first, especially when it comes to rifle and shotgun setups. Anyway, so I have that, and then I do run an offset. I did not use the offset at all during this match. And then I have a CMC trigger, 3.5 pound, that I like. I've got that in a few guns now, and I really like those triggers. I have a Timney as well, and another one of my guns. They're both fantastic triggers. The CMC is, I don't know, they're both my favorite. They're both really good triggers. Anyway, so then for a shotgun, I actually ran something new this time around. I really don't like shotguns. I don't think there's many people on this podcast that like them.
Shotguns are for birds
Shoulder
and
still
breaching.
Hurts.
Full stop.
Wait, what'd you say,
exactly.
Kyle?
Shotguns are for birds and breaching. Full stop.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I've been on this like mission to rifleize a shotgun since like the first time I went to the Zombie Invitational. I put a red dot on a 930 Mossberg 930, and it made it like 50% better. Right. So I picked up this time around. I picked up a Lynx 12, which is a clone of the Sega out of Russia, which you can't get anymore, and that's a mag fed shotgun, and it ran just fine. I didn't have any issues with it. Setting it up, we had one minor issue with it, but since then it ran completely fine. The gun itself the shotgun ran fantastic. It was really comfortable to use. I actually ordered some more furniture for today to make it better for my frame, different stock and stuff. I did not have a choke for it yet at the time, so it was hilarious because we're on one of the stages, and I'm shooting at steel, and it will not fall over. And as I'm shooting at it, and I'm like, there is definitely not a choke on this thing, and it's full open. And I'm at like, I don't know, what was the range on those steel coins?
Oh, 25, 30 yards probably.
Yeah, and it just wouldn't. It was like like a hot
Just
breath on
wouldn't
it, trying to
fall.
knock it over. So fortunately, we had the option to switch to pistol. But I have since ordered choke again per Kyle's advice. Got a modified choke to help improve that, and so we'll get that going and set up. But yeah, again, it's mag fed, so the idea being that it's get more and more, and it's got a pistol grip, so get it more and more rifle like. But yeah, the whole setup was great, and then ran my traditional like Wolverine 5K belt setup with a retention holster and kiwis for the mags, both for pistol and rifle.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know the great news, Phil? Once you put
Yeah,
that choke on, you're gonna have to re-zero your slugs.
No, don't tell him that.
no, okay.
Really?
Jeez.
So yeah, and we actually talked about this before too, because talked about even I ordered it. I did not order one with a brake on it either, like or the ability to add a brake. Because I'm like, I don't really need it, but I knew I was going to do that anyway, and I want to switch over to low recoil slugs anyway, so it's going to have to be re-zeroed. So
Oh yeah, I need to find out that model for you.
Sweet. What about you, Brent?
Ooh.
Ew.
Yeah. I use for my shotgun, I use a Mossberg 939, one of the Jerry Michelicks. Great gun. No problems with it. I do have a 507 red dot on there so that I can shoot a slug and not be a complete loser like I was last year at the zombie.
What do you mean by that?
I couldn't hit nothing with my
Really?
slugs and my iron sights. I just
Oh,
don't have
well, yeah, I believe that.
Shotguns suck.
I did
How far did you have to shoot at the
100
zombie?
yards. Some of them were 100 yards.
105 on the one stage was the
Yeah, it
longest
was.
shot.
I just was like, oh
Man.
my gosh. So I was throwing lead, but anyway, so that's working out pretty good for me. My rifle is pretty much it's a Aero Precision lower. Daryl is the guy who puts all this stuff together for me because I'm just not smart enough. Do you remember what is it a primary arms upper on that thing, Daryl?
I couldn't tell you. You
Yeah.
ordered it. And
Yeah.
all I did was put it together.
Yeah. So I was like, hey, I got these parts. He goes, okay, we'll try to put them in there. And he does.
I don't even
and
know
then,
what half my own stuff is.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And the funny part is when I did that, because Daryl found out why my old rifle, which my brother Scott built for me, 30 years ago, which I didn't want to give up. The only thing left on my rifle that my brother had on there was the extendable stock. And like, there's all these ones that I want, but I won't do it because he's since then gone and I just love having that. Anyway, so Daryl's putting this thing together. He goes, hey, look, I found a trigger in my drawer that will go in your AR. You want to use it? And I'm like, yeah, okay. So he put it in there. I love it. I have a Bushnell 4 to 8.
Okay.
4 to something like that. Very much enjoy that. I also have another 507 offset, a 45 cant offset on the gun. Works fantastic. Yeah, that's about it. Nothing stellar or spectacular. Oh, Daryl put a new magazine release on it for me. It was cool and red, and I got it on the primary arms sale. My pistol is just a Gen 17 with the exception of the new Overwatch trigger in it. It is stock with another Holosun 507 comp.
Yes, that big
Yep.
window dot, right?
Yep, it's super 1.1 inches of glass on that thing.
That's crazy, man.
In my, like I was saying, my belt that I run for Wolverine and Zombie and all these other things. About the only thing that I have that's probably well, and I run a full kit when I do these things too, because that's where a lot of my shotgun shells come from, and I just want to anyway, I want to work out with that kit on anyway. So I run my full body armor, plate carrier, and
That
all
just
that
sounds
crap.
really heavy.
It was fun. It's really fun. And I run a Alien Gear Rapid Force 3 holster, which I absolutely love.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So it was a gear wise, nothing special. And all you guys that are thinking, oh, I don't have the gear, and I know we had some conversation with our buddy Jeff about
Oh,
him
yeah.
coming, and I don't have this and I don't have that. There's guys that go there with a pump shotgun, a stinking M1 Grand, and a 45 single stack.
Perfect.
So you can do this with anything.
Hmm.
Just like
Almost.
any shooting sport.
True.
Yeah.
Totally.
Probably if you're a gun guy and you want to try your hand at competition, you have something.
Yep.
And you have the gear probably sitting in the back of your closet that can make it work.
Yep.
And if
100%.
not, email the match director and say, "Hey, I'm missing X." They know somebody, or they have it in the back of their closet that will make you able to run that match.
Or one of us will give it to you. Like I'm saying, we can't shoot all at the same time. If somebody's got a broken down shotgun, I'll be the first one to say, here,
Yeah.
use mine.
Or you just
Well-
show up and share.
Yep.
Yeah, and even in like the street gun match too, with I think it was Steven, he either didn't have a rifle mag pouch or
Oh, yeah.
shotgun, or both. And because it's outlaw rules, he was like, "Hey, can I load out of my pockets?" And Hagen was like, "Sure." And you do, and obviously it's not like go fast speed, but
Yeah.
Steven is a fantastic shooter, and you just make do. And if
Oh,
you're
for
doing
sure.
it, you're doing it for funsies, then it doesn't matter anyway.
The man is
Mhm.
probably the most well-rounded shooter.
Yeah, I would say so.
I personally know.
I have to agree with you.
Other than
100%.
Brian from Zombie
Other
Zombie.
than Brian Stanholtz, who is a freak of nature, won
Yeah.
NRA World Shoot last year, or this past April, can shoot anything with a projectile like he's
That's crazy,
God's
man.
gift to ballistics.
Oh man. So what would you, Daryl? What's your setup?
Well, my pistol is a Sig Sauer P320 full in 9mm. I run it on my, what I call my war belt. It's the same pistol that I use for all of our tactical matches.
Yep.
Has a Gray Guns trigger in it with the Sig Sauer, what's their dot?
Romeo 1 Pro.
The
Romeo, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, the Romeo 1 Pro dot. And my shotgun is FN Herstal police model 12 gauge semi-automatic with disc fiber open sights. And then my AR is Rock River Arms that I put a Hypertech trigger in. It's got the Strike Eagle 1-6
Mm-hmm.
with Leopold Delta Point Pro offset.
That's awesome. That's just kind of cool.
And
Go for it, Phil.
I was just gonna say, so what Daryl also didn't mention either is he also ran the whole thing in body armor, which is hilarious because there are matches out there, especially outlaw matches that you can wear body armor, and then usually they put you what's called in like hardcore division or armored division.
Mm-hmm.
But Brent and Daryl were like, we're just gonna make our own division, and they both showed up in full body armor. Mad respect for doing it though, dude. But hey, train is what you got.
Mm-hmm. No, that
Well,
makes sense.
Yeah, like I said at the beginning, this was all for training with my gear. It wasn't really I wasn't really there to do a competition, but
Mm-hmm. And of course, kind of like what you're saying earlier, Daryl, how because you're kind of going into that mindset, you're kind of more like, I'm here to train, I'm here to have fun, instead of like trying to really
yep.
get that mental block of like, I'm here to compete, I'm trying to win, do well. It's like, no, I just want to train in my gear and have fun with the buddies. And of course, with you and Brent being USPSA match directors, it's probably nice to do a competition and not have to worry about issues.
That was very nice.
Amen.
Yep. That was very nice.
You're just like, something happens, like, that's on Hagen or whoever else. Which I know you guys would, of course, jump in if something happened. I get it. But
I believe that was.
Oh, we did. There was a
mentioned at
couple
some point.
things that happened.
really?
We had to straighten
Oh,
out.
man. That's
Oh,
And
yeah.
I will say that, like, it's mentioned Hagen is the match director. One of the, he like has joint match director like role for this, right? But he's kind of like the primary guy, right? And Hagen is a older, like, funny gentleman, like former military, former, I think, was he prosecutor,
He
Federal
was a
something like
Yeah,
federal
prosecutor
federal
yeah,
prosecutor.
and
prosecutor.
he
Marine
does
and
strike me
infantry
as a
officer.
prosecutor.
He's not a
yeah,
funny
and
little man. He's incredibly intimidating.
right,
Like,
Oh
yes,
no
yes,
okay,
understanding. He's just
exactly.
kind of
And he,
intimidating.
and he
He
I,
speaks
is.
and he
and that's where
speaks
I'm kind of,
German
yeah,
fluently.
that's where I'm kind of
Yeah.
getting there. So he can be like fairly intimidating, right? Especially for new shooters. But I will tell you, like, you can tell that there is the love and the passion for this match, because he was so he went on our squad, and I know that a few of you have run the match before, but there are a lot of us who hadn't, right? And he was so gracious with asking and handling questions, and because of the outlaw match, like, hey, can we do this? Hey, can we do that? Because we're just trying to have fun, right? And trying to, get to use our equipment more. And I remember coming out of that match, and I was like, man, I really enjoyed it, because I feel like Hagen was so, like, accommodating to our squad and had such a great time along with us, that I'm used to that from Brent and Daryl, right? Working, but it was nice to also see that happen in other matches at South Kent as well. And I know IDPA is a similar way as well, but it makes it so much more enjoyable when you have a match director who is willing to work with the new shooters to help to understand the match. Again, you can tell he's passionate about running this. He wants you to come back. He wants you to have a good
Mhm.
time. He's not annoyed because you're there and you're taking up his time. You're asking him dumb questions, or you're getting in the way, or whatever it may be. So again, all that to say, intimidating gentleman, but, like, dude was a fantastic match director and is a fantastic match director.
Oh, yeah.
That's so cool. So Hagen, if you ever listen to this, shout out to you, brother.
Please sponsor us.
Sorry you missed that target that I missed.
Oh my goodness. So I kind of going into match experience now. Of course, you just shared with that Kanatawa, Hagen, and all of that. So, what was like the most challenging stage or aspect of the competition for you guys?
Surprisingly for me, the most challenging stage was probably the easiest stage for a lot of people.
Really?
Um, I really, really struggled with just shooting rifle targets at 75 yards. It was a very strange moment for me, and
I don't know
Hmm.
what the heck was going on with him.
it I had 2 stage wins and 2 second place finishes, and then a 6th place finish on that stage.
Uh
And
huh.
if it wasn't for exceptional shotgun and pistol shooting, it would have been much worse. The Yeah, things just didn't come together for me well. You started in a box shooting
Okay.
across the bay at about 60 yards
Okay.
on some occluded targets. One shot to the A zone or 2 shots in the
Yeah.
C and D zone to
Hmm.
neutralize.
All had
And
no shoots on them, though. Remind
they
me of
all
that.
had no shoots. Well, yes, they all had no shoots on them.
Hmm.
And I just had a very difficult time getting my rifle stabilized. And I definitely have a point of training to hit over the next coming months before
Hmm.
zombie, because targets like that are very common there.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I'm actually glad you called that out, because similar experience. No, I was not using it as an excuse at all. I was not feeling great, like, the whole match, pretty much. But, like, I just remember feeling really slow, and I'm not like the fastest shooter, but rifle has always kind of been my thing, and I remember really struggling and trying to get a stable platform in the kneeling position, and I even kneeled down wrong both times with the wrong knee up and that kind of stuff. I'm like, man.
We noticed that.
We
Yep.
did,
I
yeah.
was like, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and I feel like I've lost some edge I had on the rifle, so that's something I need to work on too. So I'm glad that you pointed that out, Kyle, because I was thinking about that today, and I'm actually next USPSA match I'm shooting rifle, so I
Hmm.
am now zeroed and all set for it. So
What do you mean by you feel like you've lost your edge with your rifle?
I'm not getting too far into it, but I used to do a lot of steel challenge. Prior to that, I shot like CMP, which is very precision oriented, a little bit slower. Shot a lot of PCC for that. Shot some two gun in so USPSA PCC for sorry USPSA steel challenge, CMP, and then some two gun. And it was always kind of my thing was always like rifle. I love rifle, right? I mean, everybody does. It's the easiest to shoot. Um, but I'd gotten pretty darn fast in shooting like Steel Challenge, that kind of stuff. But now I just feel sluggish and I'd not be able to get like a good stable platform on the rifle, and that's something I need to work on. Which I'm glad we did this match, because otherwise I would have not spent the time on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had the same problem, Phil. On the stage that there were 2 targets that were blacked out, and then they had 4 mini
jeez.
targets pasted to them.
I think they were quarter scale on that, Daryl.
Quarter scale, something like that. They were quite small, and it wasn't that far. But because the only time this year I had shot my rifle was at the Wolverine, and that amounted to what, 6 shots?
Yeah, if you're
Because,
Yeah,
because of because of crap that we won't get into.
right.
Yeah.
Soon.
But
Too
anyway,
soon.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
my
Ooh, I just have to get
mind
my
wasn't
traction
there,
work done.
so I shot those targets that were at 40 yards with my 100-yard zero instead of making the adjustment that I know to make. But it's all because I just haven't been shooting that platform enough.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's wrong with you guys. I shot splendid.
Brent's like, I don't know. I did awesome.
Well, we have the scores here.
Yeah, sometimes those lie though.
What about your guys' best stage then? Tell me about that.
I
My
didn't have
best
one.
my best stage was Kyle's worst.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. There you go.
Yes.
Yeah,
You
that one.
you crushed that stage, Daryl.
I had. Well, I wouldn't say I crushed it, because the guy I had second place overall on that,
Okay.
but the guy that took first somehow managed to beat me by 24 seconds.
There's no way.
What?
Yeah,
There's
I
no
still
way.
think that was a
I don't
somebody
know if the
missed some shots were missed on the timer.
I think so too, because I mean, you guys, Tyler, you guys know what the stage was, and it just, I don't know where you would get 24 seconds off on that. But
And
Yeah.
let's
anyway,
face it, on your feet, you're one of the fastest guys we shoot with, Daryl. When you book, you book.
Mm-hmm.
So
I was moving pretty good,
Beg to differ.
and I did.
what are you talking about, Kyle?
I'm faster than Daryl. Foot race outside right now. Let's go.
What was your seconds?
Okay, let's go.
On that, on that, my seconds were slow because I shot 28 rounds
Whatever.
for
That's
for what
crazy.
6
Yeah.
Wow.
for what 8 targets.
Okay.
Yeah, it was rough.
That is rough.
Yeah, and I might have had 4 or 5 of those coins where I had to take more than one shot at them. But other than that, I don't know, where I could have made up a whole lot more time.
No.
Anyway,
My best stage was probably stage 3, which was an interesting stage because you had 5 clay pigeons hanging from a wire
Okay.
that were bonus points, and if you got all 5, you got 15 seconds off of your time. So I finished that stage with 1998 after the bonus. It was
It's all right.
the next shooter was 32 seconds.
Oh, wow.
So it was very fast stage for me.
Yeah, I like that they had the option to like reduce your time by engaging those, and you could actually engage those targets with either pistol or rifle. But if you did it from rifle, it obviously was further away. I have to take them with the rifle, which I don't think was the right decision. I think the pistol, like most people did, was the right decision. I can't remember. Kyle, did you take them with rifle or pistol?
So
or did you
with
do
this
both?
with this stage design, you had to. I just rewatched the video. With this stage, you had to you had to open a door and go through the door, pick up your unloaded bolt locked rifle, load a 5-round magazine, and engage 4 targets at the end of the bay. So if you were able to, you only needed 4 shots to neutralize those targets if you hit A zone hits. So if you made sure that your shots were good, you had 1 round left over. I opted to take a shot on the bonus target, I hit the bonus target and then transitioned to my pistol, ran forward, engaged the rest of the targets, and the last 4 bonus targets. So my raw time was quite fast, even without the bonuses, and then add the minus 15, and it was pretty good. And I think that was, I actually changed my mind on how I was exactly going to engage it after watching Daryl's run. I was gonna do things a little bit differently, get a little closer to those bonus targets, but after watching him shoot them from a little bit further back, have less movement. It's kind of always a philosophy of mine. If you don't have to move, don't move. Your bullets are faster than your feet 99 times out of 100.
Unless you're Asian fast.
Unless you're Asian fast. But they, so I opted to take the shots a little bit further back. It would only have added, what, maybe 3 yards closer distance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be enough to take the extra second and a half to get closer. So little combination of my original stage plan and the final of Daryl's plan came together for a really good run for me.
That's so great. And then, so are there any specific skills or areas that you guys would like to improve for your next 3-gun match?
Yes.
Offhanded rifle shooting.
Ooh, okay.
I spend a lot of time shooting in prone, off barricades, things like that with a brace rifle. Definitely need to work on engaging precise shots at distance and also at closer ranges from just a standing or kneeling position.
The one thing I thought about, Kyle, with this as well is with like Zombie, which is probably a more recent, I don't know if you shot a match with rifles since then, but you have a sling as well. And I was actually thinking about that for people that, I'm not using this as an excuse, but as like a training thing. If you're using your sling like we do for Zombie, like we do for Wolverine 5K, you get used to that additional like opposite pressure of like it pulling back on you, and while you're like, pulling the gun in as well too, like to be assisted pressure. So it is a little bit different, right? And it's something to make an adjustment to. So I guess that would be one thing to train better for. Or like you do have an option on those, like Hagen was saying, if you want to use a sling, you can use a sling. It's going to slow you down a little bit having to take it off when you dump the rifle, but I guess it would be an option. I don't know if that would help.
And in the, just for you guys listening, like I'm saying, Hagen's doing a really fun job of making it more intense. Not intense is not the word. More versatile, because he's like, hey, someday maybe we'll have slings involved with this stuff. But the straight up scare on slings, guys, is if you're going from your primary weapon, from your AR, and slinging that and going to your secondary, to your pistol, you got to watch that muzzle. And I think he's wise to not let us do that right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Sling, especially at high level 3-gun competitions, you will very, very rarely see a competitor running a sling on any gun. Zombie's a little unique in that.
This is required.
It is.
Yep.
I'm not sure that's even Hagen's call. I think that's a club rule that we're not allowed to have more than one loaded firearm.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's interesting because on that stage where you could have run a sling, I think you said you had the option to do so, your pistol was unloaded. And you didn't load it until you got to like up front on the stage. And then at that point you would have dumped the rifle. So in theory you would not have broken that rule.
Yeah, he watches out for us on that pretty good, I know. I'm going to practice on putting my gun together better before I do it. I was, when Kyle says he's watching the video, so that last stage where we had to shoot all those coins, because my gun went to slide lock with a full magazine in it, I tapped and racked 6 times.
You had a really fancy bolt action pistol.
Well, that's what I was thinking, because it
California compliant.
Yes, it's a Cali compliant pistol.
Totally, exactly. So, for the record, I had an absolute blast shooting this. Can't say I did well, and I was also looking. I was so happy because I think I went first or close to first on the one where we had the clay pigeons that were 15 extra points. So you picked up 15 bonus points. Well, I'm looking at it. I had enough enough problems because I missed a target. So the points plus the failure to engage was 15 points.
Yeah,
So
it was a good cancel out for you.
it was great. Who cares?
Yeah, and I think a lot of it too is really just, with anything, is getting a lot of practice in, right? And I know that I haven't been on the gun as much, or on any gun as much this year as I normally am. And I'm definitely not the fastest of the group at all, but there's definitely areas where I was like, man, I was way slower than I should have been. So a lot of it is just getting more and more practice in, and it's nice, and I'm actually glad we had, because I did not finish very well overall in this match. I'm actually glad we had this opportunity.
And you made top 15.
There you go.
I did not make last either, so I won't.
You weren't
take that.
last.
But again, it kind of susses out a lot of that stuff where you're like, all right, I got to do better, right? I got to spend less time building stuff out of Lego, and more time on the range.
That's right.
So
Get outside.
You got two expensive hobbies, man.
I do a very too expensive, very too time consuming hobbies. I probably do a little better on the Lego side of things than I do on the shooting side. Let's just put it that way. So
you made it
anyway,
to a TV show because of the Lego thing. So.
I know. And anyway, I'm gonna go down that road. But we were working on some stuff that was pretty important to get done for the other hobby, which unfortunately took away from some time. And again, so like we were talking about earlier, you can't buy skill, right? It's a time investment. And one of the things we were talking about too in that chat was like, man, if you could buy time, then you could buy you could buy skill by buying time if you use the time appropriately to actually train. Mm-hmm. But then I even got to think about that as well too, and you could buy training from somebody to help you find out, and that would actually help you shortcut as well.
Yeah, that's so true. Getting a good coach, man, or a mentor, or a teacher, I feel like would just be huge.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of us, and I appreciate Kyle's always willingness to help with this, and Brent and Daryl very much the same way as well too when we were shooting Steel Challenge, and but like having somebody that you can ask those questions of that is more skilled is always really nice, because then at least it gets you in the right direction, right? So you're not spending all that time that they took to get there to figure out like what is the correct type of, like, even like from equipment perspective, like type of slug, choke, whatever, blah, blah, blah,
Mm-hmm.
Or like, hey, how do you approach this stage? Knowing that there's no way we'll ever shoot it as fast as they are, at least for that match. And, like a Paul Lee who gets better, as he progresses and does have the ability to start challenging Kyle. It's nice to have somebody like that to be able to ask those questions of. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So all that to say, Kyle, next time we're shooting together, I'm going to ask you a bunch of stuff. So
what I'm hearing is I need to send you an invoice.
Pro bono, bro.
Yeah.
All I heard was I need a new gun.
Get a platypus, man.
Hey, Kyle, will you sponsor Acceptable Accuracy?
Yeah.
Kyle, please sponsor us.
I'll send you chicken eggs.
Perfect. I will take those any day of the week, man. Oh, man. Well, sweet. Do you guys have any closing thoughts?
Well, I mean, going on that, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Oh, so true.
But when talent works hard, get the heck out of the way.
Oh, 100%. So, Daryl?
I don't have anything.
It's 11:30 and I work for a living.
Brent?
Daryl, you got something. I know you got something.
Well, don't worry. We are going to loop back to him. So
wise words, smart ass comments.
I will say that the September match is now open, and I'm still the only one signed up. So,
I forget to do
what? Are you talking about for 3-gun?
Dude, I'm practice score right now.
Okay, I'm like, for USPSA, like, no, I'm definitely signed up for that. 3-gun, no, I can't. unfortunately. So yeah,
Whatever.
I can't. I literally work. I
Where do
work
you
Sunday
literally work?
through Thursdays, guys.
Well, kind of.
Oh yeah, I'm a pastor. I only work Sundays and Wednesdays. That's it, right?
That's what I was trying to get through, man.
Oh, I thought it was just Sundays.
Yeah, just Sundays, just for the 1 hour. That's it. Totally.
Oh my gosh. Um, it- I debate on when you guys ask me the closing thoughts thing, whether I make it something shooting or make it something life.
Yes.
Yes,
Exactly.
shooting.
Yes.
Oh, that's a good.
Shooting is life.
That was a
Yeah.
good. That was a good one. Uh,
There you go, Daryl. You're not lonely anymore.
you're not lonely. So I consider this so. Shooting is like cleaning bathrooms.
Please
Okay.
continue.
No, just leave it right there and just.
And I use this analogy on a lot of things. I say this is like cleaning bathrooms.
Okay.
If you do it well, few people notice. If you do it poorly, everybody notices.
That's
Valid.
So true.
Hmm.
So true. Phil, what you got for us, brother?
So what I will add is we talk a lot about these different matches and stuff that we do a lot. And there's very specific matches that we do, but do something that makes you feel uncomfortable from a I don't know what I'm doing perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise you'll end up living your life sitting in front of the TV, eating Cheetos and drinking Mountain Dew. Now that
Playing
is
Lego.
fantastic. That is fantastic to do sometimes, but get out there and do something that will actually make an impact on your mental, physical health, as well as developing a skill that you never know when it will come in use.
Wow, man.
That was
Getting deep tonight.
And build some stuff. Build some stuff out of Lego.
I knew you were going to say.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. And then also too, I'll add like
No, you don't get
real-
to,
It's
man.
closing thought, not closing thought.
Okay. Listen. When it is the Philip and Tyler podcast, they're allowed to have two.
Okay.
It's called the Acceptable Accuracy
Hey,
Podcast.
I'm giving Daryl more time to think of something.
Think of something. You're probably just like
What,
20 in
are you
his
guys
head.
not
Just
going to
has
let me
barrel
go if I
to
don't
his
say
head.
anything?
No, you will
was
be on
gonna
this
say,
podcast.
Yeah,
until
Daryl's just
2
gonna
a.m.
sign. I was like, "Where'd Daryl go?"
Maybe you're stealing his idea because you keep going.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right.
Yeah, you
spit it
guys
out,
all
Phil.
stole my idea already, so.
You don't get it one. You're the host.
It's also the Tyler podcast though, so you can have 5 if you want.
Right.
No,
Okay.
I'm good. No.
I'm ready for the second one.
I completely forgot what it was. So now it's
That's
Daryl's
what I
turn.
thought.
Daryl,
Yes.
what you got for us, man?
Well, all right, you forced me. So I have said this before on this podcast. I don't remember the exact episode, but and this past weekend was proof of it. So don't forget why we started doing this. We all started doing this, with the exception of Kyle. We started doing this because it was fun.
Mhm.
Kyle started
Exception
doing
to me.
Well, because you were in the military. You did it because you had to for a little while, and then after you got out, it was still fun. So
You all shoot better than probably 90% of my company.
but that's not what I'm getting at. I'm getting, don't forget why you started. If it's not fun, find something else to do. Don't put a lot of stress on yourself, with a whole bunch of, I mean, we got to have goals, certainly, but if you don't get them, it's not the end of the world. So, shooting the match on Sunday, the 3-gun match, where I didn't have any other obligations or anything like that. And I was just there to be with my friends and to have some fun. And it was great. It was probably the best day I've had this summer.
That's awesome.
It was really good.
And he said he didn't have anything to share. Man.
He just wanted to force you guys to let him go last because it was the best.
There
No.
you go.
I don't think Kyle's gone yet.
What?
Did Kyle have some advice yet?
Kyle was the first one to give
went
advice.
first.
Yeah, man, he gave the good one.
It was okay.
It was the pithy one, remember?
Pithy one.
Yeah, pithy. Well, pithy means straightforward.
Mm.
I always thought pithy meant like it had like an attitude. Like
Yeah.
um,
That's
I thought it
pithy.
was
Either
just-
way is pretty accurate when it comes to me.
I thought it was the chunks in orange juice.
That's the pulp.
that's a pulp.
Pithy.
The
Oh,
pulpy
my-
one.
Sorry, man.
Well, sweet. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today for another awesome episode of Acceptable Accuracy as we reflected on on Phil's first three gun match. Well, in this context, and all the other guys' multiples. So sweet. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Brent, Daryl, and Kyle for joining us tonight. Remember, everyone, to like, comment, subscribe, rate, and a bunch of other stuff that I'm probably forgetting to do. So sponsor,
Yeah,
yes. Sponsor us, people. We're broke.
I just want to make one more point. I'm impressed that we were able to get a podcast with 5 people and not completely fall off the rails. So cheers to everybody who joined tonight, because you guys are all professionals.
It was hard for me, dude. I got stories.
We were all drinking.
Well, I think a part
I
of
got
it is
stories.
because I think we all want to get to bed. So, because
That's fair.
Brent's got to get to work in very soon, so I'm not even going to say how long. So, sweet. Thank you, everyone, once again, and we will see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys. See you.
Bye.
See you.
Thanks.